Buying a low mileage, rare colour TT that has been looked after with plenty of service history is surely a guaranteed, trouble-free, turnkey experience. One where I can hop in on a weekend and not worry about starting or running problems or troublesome warning lights on the dash that are difficult to diagnose. Right? Right?
No. We know that's not what Mark 1 ownership is all about. We know there are always problems with these cars, and that appears to be part of the charm of owning one, is not knowing what's around the corner. I'm Andy and welcome along to this video where we're going to take a closer look at an intermittent problem that has haunted this car since I purchased it, and that is this symbol right here, which is the traction control warning. So let's hop inside the car and talk about that. If I'm perfectly honest, when I bought the Papaya 3.2, I did know it had a potential malfunction or intermittent problem with this feature. Now that wasn't hidden by the previous owners, and they did say it had this intermittent light that came on, and they had done various things on the car to try and fix that, and that is also evidenced in the paperwork prior to my purchase. Now this particular problem is highlighted on the dash in a warning light in the shape of a anti-clockwise arrow with an exclamation mark and a triangle in the middle to highlight there's a problem with the car. It's also illuminated yellow, so it's a warning rather than a dead stop and don't go any further. Reading up online, this warning light does represent a multitude of known problems, and these include a faulty MAF sensor, a malfunctioning Haldex unit, wheel speed sensor issues, or brake problems. Your likes and comments and shares really do make a difference to the channel because it allows my content to reach more people. So for all of those of you out there that like, subscribe, share my content, thank you very much. So we're going to try and diagnose what this problem is today with an OBD code reader that I'm going to plug in under the dash so we can get the exact code that's causing this problem. Now I do need to plug this code reader in when the light is showing, because being intermittent, sometimes the light is on and sometimes it's not. First things first, let's take our OBDII plug like this and plug it into the OBDII port under the dash. I've now connected my OBDII Bluetooth reader to the car and to the phone, so let's scan it and see what it says. Currently scanning. As always with these frustrating cars, the car scanner along with the OBDII Bluetooth dongle picked up no codes despite the light being on the dash. Now with the C reader scanner, it's finding an awful lot more wrong with the car, and I say an awful lot more. The scan hasn't quite finished yet and we've got 3, 4, 5, 6 problems with the car. There appears to be 3 faults with the engine electronics, 1 fault with the brake electronics, and I'm wondering if that's what the issue is with the traction control light that comes on. We've got an instrument cluster fault and 1 central locking fault. Now what I found on previous Audi TTs, when you run these scans, they could be historic codes because there's no engine management light on for any of those, so they could be old codes from where people have changed batteries or reset some system settings somewhere and they just never cleared them down. We've got a P0430 catalyst system bank 2 efficiency below threshold, P0420 catalyst system bank 1 efficiency below threshold, and P1140 bank 2 sensor 2 internal resistance too high. The brake electronics fault is a 00813 brake pressure sensor 2 issue. The instrument cluster is a radio fault. Well, it's got an aftermarket radio, so that could be linked. And the central locking fault is alarm triggered by interior monitoring. So we'll record these and do some research in the house. I'll then clear the codes, we'll rerun the scan and we'll see what truly comes back and is affecting this car. But interesting that I have found out the ESP light is not turning off the light. Let's go and look at it. Are you having any of these similar problems to me on your car? Then why don't you get in touch with me at the channel or share it in the comments below.
Before we look at the traction control light problem, what causes it and what it could be on my car, let's look at those other codes. And let's start with the P0430 and P0420 faults. This is pointing to the catalytic converters not doing their job, and that job is handling the emissions by reacting with the exhaust gases as they pass through. The O2 sensors attached to the exhaust are detecting that the emissions are too high. There are two cats, one for each side of the exhaust, so unlikely that both have failed at once. The car also went for an MOT in November, where it undergoes an emissions test to deem the car is within tolerances. November was just 2 months ago, and I have covered very few miles since, so I feel it is unlikely to have failed. So the problem could be the cat is indeed faulty, fuel injector or mixture problems, O2 sensor or wiring issues, or dirty sensors. So I'm going to rule out the dirty cat or sensors by running a bottle of cat clean through the system. This is done by adding this to the petrol tank when it's about 1/4 full and driving the car for around 150 miles or so to make sure this gets through the system. Obviously you will need to top up the tank, as a quarter will not go that distance. This will give the additives an opportunity to work through the car, cleaning as it goes. And you can pick up a bottle of cat clean from most reputable automotive shops for around £15. So fingers crossed that might take care of those two cat faults. Let's turn our attention to the traction control light issue. The only evidence showing on the scan is the brake sense error of 00813. However, I want to look at the many causes suggested online and analyse the reason behind their suggestion. First up, the faulty mass airflow sensor or MAF. The traction control light can come on because a malfunctioning MAF sensor can disrupt the engine power delivery. This leads to uneven wheel spin, which triggers the traction control system to activate, ultimately illuminating the traction control light on the dashboard. Not sure why this would stay on, but one to take a look at. I am in a position that I have a working MAF on the shelf, so I will quickly swap this over to discount this from any future codes that return. However, it could be more wheel based than that. Faulty wheel speed sensors could be to blame. These sensors monitor the rotation of each wheel and are critical for the traction control system to function properly. An incorrect reading from one of these speed sensors would indicate a problem with the wheel and flag up as a separate code. The fact that I do not have a specific wheel sensor code would suggest it is not in this instance. Low tyre pressure. Uneven tyre pressure can also trigger the traction control light. Rotation and traction would be affected by this and could cause the issue. Highly unlikely, as I've swapped the wheels over since owning the car and the problem existed previously with the Papaya. I never had this problem on the Blue 3.2 when the wheels were on that previously. It is also one I can discount quite easily with a pressure test. Worn or mismatched tyres can affect traction and activate the traction control system. Again, unlikely based on the points I've just mentioned, but again something to consider when diagnosing yourself. Issue with the traction control module or Haldex faults. In some cases the traction control module can malfunction and trigger the light even if other components are working correctly. This includes issues with your Haldex. Often these do not show as codes as evidenced in my Roadster, which also has a malfunctioning Haldex. How do I know? Well, I can spin the wheels on that car from a standing start, which is a good indication that your Haldex is not functioning correctly, particularly in the wet and if I accelerate hard. I go over a humpback bridge and the traction control light comes on, as if I am losing contact on orientation. The lights do go out once this stabilises though. The fact that the light is staying on the Papaya suggests this could be a greater fault. So what can I do to eliminate many of these potential causes? Well, you could change your MAF if you had a spare one, you could check the tyre pressures, you could scan the car for any additional codes such as faulty wheel speed sensors, test drive the car and attempt to spin up the wheels, trying to get those lights to light up from the Haldex. I'm going to do all of the above. The brake code is interesting. Through googling and looking at similar problems on the various TT forums, it does suggest a brake pressure problem. A few causes for this could be air in the braking system, wiring issue on the master cylinder, or a faulty brake pressure sensor. Essentially, this is detecting an imbalance of brake pressure in the system. After looking at the recent history, the previous owners have tried to sort this out by having replacement brake calipers fitted to the car, reconditioned ones as the originals are no longer available new. There is also reference to an old analog brake lamp switch fitted and suggests replacing this before pressure sensors are changed, as errors on the brake lamp switch will cause implausibility of brake pressure switches. Overall, I'm not sold on this, as the front right caliper was sticking when sitting in the garage for periods of time, and I saw this when I removed it myself. The guide pins were corroded and causing the caliper to stick. It does make me question how much of the calipers were overhauled when they were fitted. I know that there was an issue with the brake nipples when the brakes were checked, and hence why the calipers were changed. If we go back a few months further, this light was causing problems on a previous visit to the garage, so it seems to have not been corrected with the calipers and brake fluid change. I myself have had this front wheel get extremely hot when I've been driving, and this is from an obvious sticking brake. But I'm going to switch out those guides first and see if it makes a difference. Back in the car with the error codes displayed on the C reader, I'm going to clear those codes now and see if we have solved any of the problems, and also if they were historic codes. So let's go. We'll click clear code. Once this is done and cleared, we'll rescan the car and let's see if we get those codes back. Well, that's very interesting, because I think they may well be historic codes, because on a rescan you will now see there is only one error code, and it's related to the instrument cluster and the radio. So that's good from a perspective that there are no errors in the car. Next thing for me to do is take this car for a decent drive, and let's see if I can get the intermittent fault back on the car. After 20 minutes spirited drive with the TT, and after clearing those codes and making sure there's no warning lights on the dash, it's safe to say the traction control light is back on. So we know there's a definite problem. I've scanned the car once more, and yes, it is the brake pressure sensor. The car has now been booked into an independent specialist, and they're going to take a closer look at the car. So I think it is going to need a new brake pressure sensor doing on that. I also found this interesting article putting the blame on the ABS module. Being a DSG on the 3.2, it's going to have the Mark 60 version of the ABS pump shown here on the right, so something to pass on to my independent specialist. Looking online, this job is fairly involved. Some people say it's an engine out job, which I'm hoping it's not, and some say it's accessible in the car. Again, that's not going to be me doing the work, it's going to be the garage, so hopefully they can do it for me and it's not going to cost too much money. But we are going to get those brake pressure sensors changed on the car, as all signs are pointing to that. I will give an update on this video once that work has been carried out and I have the results, and hopefully the light will stay out. So I hope you really enjoyed watching today's video, and if you have, then please do give it a thumbs up, and also think about subscribing to my channel, where you'll find a whole host of content on the Audi TT Mark 1. As always, thanks for watching and see you soon. Take care.